Okay, I'm live. Welcome everybody. Haven't really done a lot of live streaming this week, except for the one with Alicia Clegg, of course. But I am glad to be back with you guys, and I'm actually in better spirits right now. I had some good news, but not going to talk about that good news because a lot of what's been happening lately with this issue of internet privacy and doxing and freedom of speech and what people can and can't say on the internet. It's become clear that some people are able to make statements that are defamatory and or defamatory, not deflammatory. So inflammatory, defamatory, insulting of other people, and they're protected by a corporate class that is sympathetic to that frame of mind. All right, whereas other people have a different set of point of views and they're not connected with that class, and they're pretty much blackballed. They're it's basically the equivalent of the Red Scare in Hollywood, and it's a sad situation for the country to be in. Let me just pop out the what's it called? The stream. See this on the watch page. 1 second. Shift it over there. All right, so what we're talking about today is a piece that I wrote on my Steemit account called Luke O'Brien Just Pulled a Fatwa on Amy Mack, making her a Jerseyite Salman Rushdie. And what is basically what's the issue with that? Who is Salman Rushdie? Salman Rushdie is an author born in India who published a book in 1988 called The Satanic Verses, where he hypothesized, it's a novel, it's a work of fiction, he hypothesized that the Quran remained corrupted by a number of verses within it that were inserted by the devil. And that work of fiction, remember, he's not claiming as a factual statement that the Quran is corrupted by the devil, but he was saying, in a novel, that it was possible. And due to that, the Ayatollah Khomeini, the spiritual leader, the supreme leader of the Islamic Revolution in Iran, issued the first fatwa that really reached Western attention. The fatwa is basically a religious edict to do something by an Islamic clergyman, or I think it would have to be like a judicial leader in the Islamic world, because there's a complicated nuance as to what a religious leader is in Islam, whether there are religious leaders or not. There's the Khawarij that believe that there is no such thing as a religious leader in Islam. Except for the Caliph, anything beyond the Caliph is nothing. It's almost like an anarchistic version of Islam that's kind of going way off the deep end into the real history of Islam, all the way back to the roots of it in the 7th century. Any discussion of that type of topic, according to people like Luke O'Brien of the Huffington Post, is basically, a hate speech. And those of you that are willing to do it, like me, we are continually attacked. Maybe not us personally, but people who engage in this, they're attacked and they're exposed as basically a threat to polite society. And that's the tragedy of having a country where the press has become so corporatized and so dedicated to a particular point of view that they're incapable of actually respecting any dissent. And we're unfortunate. It's really unfortunate for the country. Let me just check something before I keep going. So this is the article that she wrote. Not this one. This one that he wrote. Yeah, sorry. So we'll open that tab back up. 1 second. Luke O'Brien, in a feat of amazing journalism, uncovered Trump's loudest anti-Muslim Twitter troll. And he claimed that she's well, he didn't claim, he revealed that she's a shady vegan married to an ousted WWE exec. So before he even revealed the article, he got her husband fired for being married to her. So not only are you implicated in this, if you express views like this, but your husband and the people around you are also basically they have to answer for the things you say. It's guilt by association at its worst. And he goes through this. This is bizarre. How he starts out. She was supposed to be a Russian bot. That seemed like the best explanation for @AmyMac. No normal person could be so prolific and prejudiced. Well, how about Joy Reid? So then they keep going, and they quote. Who do they quote? She's a major cog in the Islamophobia machine, said Ibrahim Hooper, spokesman for the Council on American Islamic Relations, a Muslim advocacy and civil rights organization that Amy Mack often attacks. But CARE, if you go to the Twitter feed for Amy Mack, okay, let's go to. So you can see there's plenty of actual cases where she talks about people who are affiliated with CARE. And let me scroll down. I found this earlier, so I didn't have it ready. I do have a lot of links open. Here's one, for example.
وسلم بشرها وقال لا تقوم الساعة حتى يقاتل المسلمون اليهود فيقتل المسلمون اليهود ويختبئ اليهودي حتى يختبئ اليهودي خلف الحجر والشجر فينادي الحجر والشجر يا مسلم يا عبد الله هذا يهودي ورائي تعال.
So this is interesting because she actually calls her out for supporting or cooperating with anti-Semites later. But here's a CARE person, okay, who's the president of Young Democrats of Orange County, and she says this is
one man from all over across the world saying that he's declaring a capital of the country he has nothing to do. This is about being an American. Woo! Yeah. I am a Palestinian Muslim American. Woo! Let me tell you, I am offended as a Palestinian. I am offended as a Muslim. I am offended as an American, and I am offended.
She's offended. Get it?
As a human. This is not about what religiosity you practice.
And I love this guy.
You know what? A dirty Jew.
You are a dirty Jew. You are a bastard Jew. You know why? Because you're not
One
a
second,
Jewish.
I have to pause this. Sorry, everybody. I did have to step away with something actually important. So, apologize for that. I know you're probably watching me in the corridor over there. So I have to reply to this email. That is an important email. A second. Sorry, everybody. I know this is great entertainment on a Friday afternoon, but this is something that came up at the last moment. I was expecting it earlier today. So there we go. YouTube isn't everything. So, and this is, look, the issue is, they're showing her offensive posts. These posts might be offensive, but they're not violence, and they're not issues that are going to lead to people dying. If she posts this, I mean, this is, I for one, I believe in the freedom of religion. I do believe that even if there are issues with Islam, and there are issues with Islam, banning a belief system is not possible to do. And so, a lot of these people who are talking about, we have to ban Islam or we have to do this, I just don't think it's practical. I don't think it really it's consistent with a free society. But warning about the dangers of a theocratic movement coming into this country and removing those freedoms otherwise, that, in my opinion, is fine. So I'm not very, I wouldn't share something like this. I know it's on this, but if the Huffington Post can share it on their site, then there's no reason that Amy Mack can't share it on Twitter. Okay, if in order to report it, they're demonstrating something that is incredibly offensive, then it must not be offensive enough to be a real threat, because they have to actually represent it. And they go into, this is bizarre, they go all the way into her teen years, attending East Brunswick High School. And I think I wrote track team by mistake, so it was the soccer team. I'll go back and correct that. But that's not really, how is that material to the case? How is that material to what's going on here? That is a weird hairstyle. But again, it's not material to anything going on here. They go into the name of her husband, who is an MBA at Harvard Business School and worked for the WWE. And they go into the fact that she was active in promoting the criminal defense of a guy named Paul Cortez, who was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 25 years to life. Now, look, I haven't looked into whether Cortez is guilty of whatever happened, stabbing a woman to death in her apartment, a stripper. But I will say this. The Huffington Post, if they want to do that, then why are they not shaming Kris Jenner? I bring this up. Kris Jenner spoke with O.J. Simpson the night of, or very soon after, the death of the murder of his ex-wife, Nicole Brown Simpson. And at the same time, Donna Hilton, let's look at this one. Donna Hilton, who was convicted of murder in the 80s, she's getting a biopic, a promotional picture with Rosario Dawson starring as her, talking about her abusive childhood. But they're not mentioning the fact in the film, at least not according to this write-up for Shadow and Act, which is a film industry trade magazine. They're not asking whether they're going to talk about the issue of her and a group of other friends murdering a man in Brooklyn in the 80s. I think it was in Brooklyn. Yeah, this is Donna Hilton. She doesn't look like Rosario Dawson. They don't pose that, though, apart from the fact that they're both black. They don't seem to resemble each other at all. And everybody, here you go. Many, many women have been brutally victimized just as Hilton has. They didn't go out and kidnap an innocent man, torture, rape, and murder. Then for this woman to go around and cry victim as an excuse for her depravity is disgusting. I hope this movie bombs. Then there's these people trying to rationalize it. That's one person's claiming that she was innocent. Well, if she was innocent, how come she wasn't acquitted of the crime? They sodomized their victim, and they were caught. Not only was it a brutal crime, it was also not very well perpetrated. And there's not the only thing worse than a cruel criminal is a dumb one. Len McCarthy's here. Says you can't ban. By the way, Len McCarthy. I know you've been dealing with some bullshit on Twitter too. He says you can't ban Islam, not here anyway, but you can ban shit like child marriage, female genital mutilation, crazy shit like that. He says they have an excellent lawsuit, especially since hubby was fired and he did that. Exactly. You should not be. In fact, let's extrapolate that. Let's say your son gets accused of raping a child, raping another teenager in the same high school. Does that mean you should be fired because of what your son did? I mean, it may reflect on something that happened in your family, but should you be fired because of something your son did? Let's say hypothetically that and it's not just her husband, by the way. They go into, and this I was looking for. I didn't have time to read literally the entire article because it goes into such mundane details. But it's talking a lot about how she attacks George Soros. Look, I don't know how many times to explain to you. George Soros is a billionaire who goes around the world trying to influence politicians. He's fair game for literally anything. You can say anything about him, and he can put on his big boy pants and defend himself. It's not anti-Semitic to criticize him. By the way, it's not anti-Semitic to criticize me. I mean, have I ever cried anti-Semitism about anybody who's criticized me? And I've had some people who have said things that are pretty anti-Jewish on here. But it's still, I don't try to silence them. I don't try to dox them. The worst I'll do is I'll block them if they're spamming me. And I think she is Jewish, but I think she's converted to Catholicism or something. There was somebody, let's see, her brother said Mecklenburg had plenty of warning signs that her hate slinging might have consequences. She said, my dad's bugging out. She texted last year around the time she was working on RAIR. That's one of the groups she's active in. He calls me every day bugging out. His business is in a Muslim hotbed, and my brother's restaurant has the same name. World Trade Center Muslim terrorists bomb mosque is down the street. Now, look at it this way. This is a woman who's from New Jersey, and I'll say this. I don't like the state of New Jersey. I think, it's very rare for me to defend anybody from there. I think it's kind of, America's dumpster. And this is coming from somebody from Ohio, so I'm not exactly from, Shangri-La. But that being said, even if she's from New Jersey, even somebody from New Jersey, here's a bold statement, is entitled to the freedom of speech and also from anonymity. If somebody violates your anonymity, you're not required to reveal your identity on Twitter. Now, the fact is she kind of gave enough clues that an asshole like this, Luke, I was about to say Luke Bryan, the shitty country singer, but Luke O'Brien decided, we're just going to expose her because it's important enough to expose a Twitter user in order to bring justice to the world. By exposing a Twitter user, they believe that they're going to increase understanding and tolerance of the Islamic faith. Well, that's not the way it works. So let me see here. I don't see where they actually revealed the name of the deli, but apparently people were able to connect the dots later and figure out which one it was. So that guy is probably shitting bricks right now. Soros supports neo-Nazis in Ukraine. Yeah. I mean, he has, and until there's a legal sanction against that, I guess he'll continue to do it. Maybe the law should, if neo-Nazis are such a law, shouldn't the United States pass a law forbidding you to fund neo-Nazis in countries like Ukraine that are actually involved in combat? They never address that. It's ridiculous, and I'm somebody. I believe the U.S. should be not involved in the Ukraine versus Russia thing to the word. I mean, the way we should be involved is trying to get them to negotiate a final peace. Okay, that's it. I don't give a fuck about anything else. I don't care how. I have friends who are Ukrainian, who are the best people in the world. They're not, I wouldn't say that they don't say things, but I wouldn't say that they're flaming anti-Semitic bigots. But the people say things that hurt other people. And I have friends from Russia as well who, there's this attitude going around that first of all, it's guilt by association. The first sentence that they came out, well, it should have been a Russian bot. What was the opening line? In fact, I wrote it in the blog anyway. It says, he started out with this statement: she was supposed to be a Russian bot. That seemed like the best explanation for Amy Mack. No normal person could be so prolific and prejudiced. What prejudice has to do with Russia is anyone's guess. That's my commentary. Yeah. For those people who think that literally every problem in the country, every horrible person on Twitter, every sneer that you see on the street has to do with Russia, you really do have some sort of paranoid delusion going on. And I'm somebody who knows something about paranoid delusions. I've worked with some pretty hostile atmospheres. So hold on, I have to do this again, so I'll be back. Okay, I have to apologize to you guys. There is something important I have to deal with. I will continue this, hopefully within 45 minutes. So I'm going to stop the stream, and we'll restart again. It's just that this is an important call. It's not YouTube related, and I have to take care of it. So, but yeah, please read my Steemit article if you haven't, and we'll be back. And I apologize.